the most important is get naked. For so many reasons, have fun with it. Never underestimate a good romp in bed.
I'm Jill Angelo, host of the Geneve podcast series for women's health in midlife. I speak with the most forward-thinking experts in the health and wellness industries. These experts are helping women 40 plus feel confident and in control of their health in the most vibrant years of their lives. So join us on this journey of women's health. Skin is the human body's largest organ, and since we wear it every day, we need to take good care of it. But what does that mean when you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s and your skin is changing? We talked with Dr. Keira Barr, board-certified dermatologist and Chief Wellness Officer of the Resilient Health Institute, and she told me it was time to get naked. First of all, thanks again for being here with us. Skin is probably one of the hottest topics for any woman because we wear it every day. Mm-hmm. And your journey in dermatology or into dermatology is a personal one. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I wasn't aware the connection between my childhood experiences and why I wound up choosing my career. I thought it was just in medical school. I saw pictures of skin. I knew what they were, and I was like, well, this seems cool. And dermatology is a beautiful marriage of internal medicine, histology, surgery, all the things that I really enjoyed. But looking back, I was born with 2 birthmarks on my face, and as a kid, I didn't really pay much attention to them until I went to school, and kids made fun of them, and they called them coffee stains, and they called me coffee stain face. And it was the first time that I became acutely aware that my skin could be such a source of shame and humiliation and embarrassment. So I quickly learned that if I could mask those stains by getting a suntan, it just felt much better to just hide behind that. Unfortunately, I have very fair skin. My dad's a redhead, so I would burn before I would tan. Over the years, accumulated tons of sun damage. Fast forward, I become a dermatologist, and I learned just how dangerous my behavior was. Had tons of atypical moles, and then eventually had to diagnose myself with melanoma, which is the most deadly skin cancer there is. So as a dermatologist, I had now become my own worst nightmare of a patient.
Wow, that's incredible. What a journey to not only have experienced what you did as a child, but then to pay the ramifications of that as an adult. So you're a woman now, and you've come through that journey, and you're doing incredible things. And, our audience obviously is women in midlife, and skin is something I know I think about all the time. I look at it, and I look at my face every day in the mirror. I look at my body. But one thing you call out a lot is women need to get comfortable looking at their naked bodies. Talk a little bit more about that.
So my biggest piece of advice is always get naked for so many reasons. First of all, your skin is your largest organ, and it truly is a window to and reflection of your overall state of health and well-being. So understanding what is your normal, understanding the texture of your hair, is it changing color? Is it falling out? What's on your skin? Those are clues that will allow you to dig deeper if there's more going on inside your body, whether that be a nutritional imbalance, whether you're not sleeping enough, whether you're not caring and loving on yourself enough. It all shows up on your skin. So getting comfortable in your naked body allows you to, number one, feel comfortable in who you are in your skin. That's huge. And it was because I didn't feel comfortable in who I was, which is why I tried to hide it with a suntan. So I don't want that experience for anyone else. But also getting naked to see what's on your skin, especially with regards to skin cancer prevention, and looking for spots that stand out from your crowd. There are certain things that you can look for And I encourage everyone, well, you get naked every day, but specifically on the date of your birthday, for instance. It's the same date every month. You are naked before you get in the shower. You look yourself over head to toe, every nook and cranny, and you're looking for any uninvited guests on your birthday suit, any spot that just stands out from your crowd.
Fascinating. And so when you said there are things to look for,
Yeah.
you're looking for abnormalities or new things. What else?
So with regards to that, we always talk about knowing your A, B, C, D, E's. So especially with regards to melanoma and skin cancer. So a spot on your skin that is asymmetric. So if you were to cut it down the middle, it's not the same on both sides. It has a very poorly defined border. It's kind of blurred edges. That's one to bring to your dermatologist's attention. Something that is varied in color throughout it or is different in color than any of your other spots. D is for diameter. That's a very soft call. We always say larger than a pencil eraser, but I can assure you I've seen melanomas that are tiny. And then E is probably the most important, something that is evolving, changing over time. And also sores that aren't healing. We take for granted like, oh, it's just a cut. But that sore that just persists, pay closer attention to it. And even if some of your spots meet some of the criteria I was just talking about, it doesn't automatically mean it's something to worry about, but it is something to raise a flag and bring to your dermatologist.
Oh, you talk about the sores that aren't healing or the sores that even just come back kind of time and again.
Right.
Is something that I know I've witnessed in people.
Right. Especially a precursor to skin cancer called an actinic keratosis. It's a precursor to the type of skin cancer called squamous cell carcinoma. And oftentimes it presents on the face or the hands as like a red, gritty sandpaper-like texture. And those are the ones that, someone will say, oh, it peels off and went away, but it comes back. So those are spots to bring.
Now, you recently published a book titled The Skin Whisperer, which I highly recommend for everybody. We'll talk a little bit more about that or put up information on the blog and the podcast afterwards. Yeah. But you talk about, I think one key thing in the book is you talk about the messages that your skin is sending to you. Tell us a little bit more, like, what do you look for? How do you listen?
Yeah. So the title of the book, even though I've been called a skin whisperer because I can see what's on the skin and give you a diagnosis, the key is to hear the messages your skin is sending you when they are just a whisper, not shouting at you, which unfortunately that was my story. I was deaf to the messages my skin was sending. I was having biopsies of changing lesions on my skin every couple of months, didn't think anything of it, and boom, I get skin cancer, right? One of those, it led me down that path because I wasn't taking notice of how I was living my life. So hearing those messages, what I was saying before, is the texture of your hair changing? Are you losing your hair? Are you breaking out in new types of rashes? Are you, is your skin drier than it normally is? Sores that are persistent. These are clues that your body is sending that a dermatologist may be able to look at you and instantaneously give an assessment. But sometimes it takes more investigative work. So you yourself looking at your own skin, looking for things that are not what they typically are: drier skin, oilier skin. You're breaking out like crazy, new onset acne in an adult woman, right? These are things that are clues. Your body's saying, I need some help here. I need some help. I need either you yourself to kind of take stock of how you're eating, sleeping, moving, any new products you may be using, or hey, get yourself to a board-certified dermatologist who can help you work through these things.
So a couple of the things you called out: dryness, adult onset acne. Yeah. Oftentimes they can be linked to hormonal changes in the body and menopause. How does a woman decipher, between the two? Because I bet you get some coming into your office where that's kind of more the symptom, or don't you? I guess, is that, how do you help women think about, is this related to a hormonal change, or is there something else, or should you just get it checked out regardless?
Well, I think it's always helpful to get yourself checked out because there may be a multifactorial components, like layers of the onion. I think especially as we are maturing, there are changes that occur. Our skin, collagen production does slow down. Skin barrier, the lipids in our skin are decreasing. So we are a little more vulnerable to drier skin, a little more sensitivity. Products that we're using because we think we want to fight the aging process. Your skin is naturally slightly acidic. So if you're using products that are altering that pH, you think you're doing some good because that's what the commercial says, but you actually are disrupting your normal pH value and disrupting your permeability barrier. You could wind up with a rash or could cause a flare of your acne. So there are things. And then the hormonal component. As we mature, our hormones are going to fluctuate, but especially if you're stressed in midlife, we are juggling lots of things. You're juggling a career, a relationship, kids, or pets, and so many things, and your cortisol levels could be going through the roof. Now that in and of itself is going to set off a cascade of inflammation that can easily exacerbate acne, eczema, psoriasis, any of these other conditions. So it's kind of taking stock of every facet and seeing, okay, where can we get the smallest wins the fastest? Because sometimes just the smallest shift can make a dramatic difference and allow you to then, okay, now what's the next step? Do we even need medication, or is it just you need to take a breath?
Yeah,
Right?
probably take a breath. And I think what you just talked through, it's complicated.
It's very complicated.
So where does a woman start or a man start? And I think one thing you call out a lot is there's 4 pillars. It's, I think, lifestyle, nutrition, movement, and mindset. Mm-hmm. How do you talk people through those 4 things? Because I'm assuming for anybody, those 4 things are contributing to the health of their skin.
Absolutely. And even though I would love to start with mindset, because I think all of us could benefit from a little reframe, that's probably the thing that would come last. So one of the first places I start is with the nutrition piece. And simple things is, and this was my wake up call. At the time of my diagnosis, I thought I was eating healthy. I was running ultra marathons. I was wearing sunscreen and protective clothing, all of that. And clearly my body was telling me it was very wrong. So one of the first places I started was with nutrition and just reading labels. I was like, this is magic. And it's the simplest thing. I mean, I worked actually with a nutritionist, and she said, well, let me show you 2 cartons of chicken broth. And we just read the labels of each. One had sugar and some stuff I don't even think I could pronounce. And it was like, water, vegetables, spices. And I was like, oh, I'll pick that one. And it just was that simple of just taking notice of what we are consuming. If it has more than 4 ingredients, or you can't decipher an ingredient, put it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
And really, I learned how to cook for the first time. And because I think many women, it's expected that you cook. But my husband, for all of our relationship, he was the chef. Because I thought roasting was something very complicated. I didn't realize you just turn the stove to 400 and a little olive oil, salt and pepper, and that's roasting. So I think, right?
I love you. Not only are you the skin whisperer, you're like the culinary,
So it's just those simple things of like, okay, what is in your pantry? Can we clean out your pantry? Can we just simplify your life and chopping vegetables? I actually have found it very therapeutic, peeling stuff, giving yourself permission to just take that time. And by doing that, by having a wide variety of colorful array of fruits and veggies, like, you just boosted your antioxidant supply through the charts, like little things. And what I found is that people are like, oh, my skin is clearing up. Oh, I took out dairy for a little bit, or I cut out gluten. And for some people, it does make a big difference.
Yeah. That's, I think also what you're doing is just reminding people of the simpler things. What, if you were to, complicated space, lots to factor in. If you were to narrow it down at least to 3 things that a woman can start to take notice of or start to own in terms of listening to her skin and helping it be the most healthy it can be? What are those three?
Yeah. With regards to nutrition, it's not just what you're eating, but how are you eating? Are you actually giving yourself permission to sit down and eat a meal? Because your autonomic nervous system, you're in that fight or flight mode. So allowing yourself to rest and digest, because if you don't, your body and your skin is not getting the nourishment and nutrients it needs.
Not like eat the piece of toast running out the door like
Exactly.
I did this morning.
Right. Like sit down because your body can digest it and you can, because again, cortisol stress, it messes with your skin, permeability, inflammation, all of that. The second is, how are you sleeping? And especially as we get older, our sleep cycles can be disrupted, but sleep significantly impacts your skin. Melatonin is what we produce when we sleep, and it has to be very dark for that to switch on. And melatonin is the most potent antioxidant that our body can produce, and it protects you from UV damage. It promotes production of other antioxidants that your body needs to fight environmental stressors. So how you're sleeping is important, and taking notice, most importantly, of how you're loving, most importantly of how you're loving on yourself. I think most women, especially in midlife, they are so worried about everyone else other than themselves, and you really need that introspection. And I'm learning this myself on a daily basis. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Those bags under your eyes, the dry, flaky skin, it's the stress of also acknowledging, like, you are just not taking care of yourself. So those would be my three very long, drawn-out explanations.
No, I think they're perfect. Well, and your skin is beautiful. Keira, Dr. Keira, I should say. Your skin is beautiful. And so it's apparent that you are listening to your skin and have made this amazing transformation. And you share it in your book. You also... if people go to your website, which is chooseresilience.com, so chooseresilience.com, people can book a 20-minute breakthrough session with you. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's an opportunity for us to explore, can I help you? What are your biggest challenges? Because what I've learned through this journey and with working with other people as well is that I can give you tools and strategies, but ultimately the outcome depends on you, the person. Are you willing to put in the work? Because there is no quick fix. There is no magic lotion potion. This is work to be done. So really explore that together of, is it a good fit? I really do want everyone to be successful, but that success really is dependent on the person coming to me to seek that out. So that's what I'm finding
in this conversation is my typical thought about a dermatologist is you book an appointment, you go see them, but even what you're talking about so much, especially in your 20 minutes breakthrough session, so much of it's a mindset, and you're almost like a therapist. And I know for me personally, even if you can't do those full three things you brought up earlier, or all the tips that you bring forth in your book, if you focus on one, it can make a difference. Like when I left my corporate career to start Genève, I was like, I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep a night. I always compromise sleep. I would go 5 or 6 and think that I could keep going and I'll catch up on the weekends. And even though like this job takes it all out of me, I still prioritize sleep, and it's made an incredible difference. Not only my health, but my skin.
Right.
So even just prioritizing one of those things is it's progress.
Right. Absolutely. And I mentioned this in the book too, but that whole idea of negotiate your non-negotiables. What are the things that you just absolutely won't negotiate on? What do you stand for? What will you and will you not tolerate? And if that's picking up your kids every day, that's a priority, or scheduling date night, or scheduling sex, or a bath. It doesn't have to be monumental. It has to be something you can hold firm, that when you do this thing for yourself, you're taking a stand for your health and for your emotional well-being.
That's a perfect way to end is, figure out your non-negotiables and go there. Thank you. This has been great. It's brief, but there's so much more to learn, I think, The Skin Whisperer by Dr. Keira Barr. Check it out. Any final closing words you want to share?
Well, I think I touched on it earlier, but the most important is get naked. For so many reasons, have fun with it. Never underestimate a good romp in bed. That's good for your stress.
Awesome.
It's good for your skin. But also get familiar with your skin, every nook and cranny of it, because it's beautiful. It's yours, and no one's going to protect it like you can.
Thank you. Thanks so much to Dr. Keira Barr for her advice on loving and protecting our skin as part of our whole body wellness. Be sure to check out her website, chooseresilience.com. That's chooseresilience.com. And get a copy of her book, The Skin Whisperer. Next, I want to tell you about a special project Team Genève is hard at work on. We're putting together a series of video conversations with healthcare experts to answer some of your most pressing menopause and midlife questions. We're talking about how to get your sex life back, how to get a good night's sleep, exercises to maintain bones and strength, what supplements you should be taking, the risks and benefits of hormone replacement therapy, and more. The series will be available in mid-May, so keep an eye out for more information. I'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to the Genève podcast series. We welcome your feedback at geneve.com. That's GENNEVE.com. You can follow us on Facebook and subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher, and you'll never miss an episode. The Genève podcast series is produced by Shannon Perry, theme music by Smitty. And until next time, watch the Genève website for new stories and offers all dedicated to women's midlife health.